Hey, welcome to another episode of Unfiltered and Intentional, Unintentional. Oh my God, unintentional. Oh my God, I'm all over the place today. You know what I'm
Unfiltered
about to
and
say?
intentional. I got you.
Oh, it's all over the place. Mothers Unfiltered shit. The reason why I'm all over the place is because today was such a very important episode for me because I don't know if everybody has been noticing. Yes, it's holiday season time. I'm not talking about Turkey Day. I'm talking about everything else when it comes to the prices of everything. Oh, Lord Jesus. And as you can clearly see, as the show is airing live, I had some technical difficulties, but we're back in the building. Jesus Christ. Um, with that being said, a lot of things have been going on when it comes to gas prices, when it comes to trying to buy food at the grocery store, trying to buy your chicken
Yeah,
wings, trying to do just simple basic things. But before we get into all that, please, Liz, can you please help me out?
I got you.
Because as you
I
can
got
clearly see, I'm all discombobulated right now.
I
The
got
show's
you.
wrong, the name's wrong.
So, and then you're extra held down tonight because we have our special guest, right?
That's
But
true too. Yes,
um,
yes. Thank you. Hold me down, Liz.
I got you. And so, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Miss Shawnette. We always appreciate the wisdom you impart on us and our unfiltered and intentional crew. Everybody out there, we really appreciate your support tonight and always. So, whether you're tuning in today, tomorrow, in a year, rewatching the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you once again, Liz, for holding me down. The last first couple of minutes, I was all over the place, literally. But now that I have found myself grounded, centered, you know what it is? I think it's these because I normally don't do the show with these glasses. I'm gonna take these off
But they
and
look
put
so
the
nice.
ones back because maybe I could, focus a little bit better. I'm used to something because those just threw me all
Got
off. My
it.
computer screen was glitching.
Okay.
New subscribers gonna be like, "Oh my God, I tuned into this hot mess." But no. I have Miss Shawnette here. Thank you so much for coming in and blessing us once again with your knowledge and your
Mm.
wisdom and your grace. You're just such a blessing, and everybody loves your voice and your inner voice and how you help us and guide us through these tough times. But I wanted to talk about today's topic about preparing for a recession. I didn't know what to call this episode, and Liz came through and was like, "How about preparing for a recession?" I was like, "We're in a recession?" She was like, "Nobody want to talk about it." I was like, no, we're not. We're gonna get into that in a second. I think say, please get better. Spec said that he was not feeling good. He was really sick. So please get better.
Feel better.
Um, yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on, but we always want people healthy so they could go and do great things. But just moving right back to this whole recession thing, I didn't agree with her when she said that we were in a recession, because of the fact that I looked at everything. People have jobs, people are getting jobs. I know people are losing jobs because of the whole COVID, but it seems like there's money out there. It seems like things are happening. Can you tell us, Liz, what is the definition of a recession?
So this one's really tricky because, like you said, Kia, there's money just floating around out there. The thing about it is, a lot of the money that's floating right now was just printed. This is not necessarily
Mm,
money that people have earned or that they're profiting. This is just money that happens to be in their pockets. A lot of people got yet another deposit this week, right? And so, I mean, and, we're all excited about the money. We're even excited that a lot of people that generally speaking make lower wages are getting these ginormous raises because everybody is trying to get paid and they're trying to get their workers to come back and if they'll ever come back and so on and so forth. Personally, I think a lot of that is just hype. There's a lot of it's hype, right? And so with all the automation that's going on, all the robots taking over, right? All the everything else, I don't know how real that is, right? So there are a lot of now hiring signs. And if you think about it, they're still hiring at the places nobody wants to work. And we've gotten to a point where people are just like, I ain't taking that job. So they're going to be hiring for a long time. Over the pandemic, I think a lot of it was a lot of soul searching. And people have discovered that if they're going to spend 40 hours a week, 50 hours, 60 hours a week outside of their house, it's going to have to be worth their time. And while this money has been printed so that they can kind of figure themselves out, they've decided they're not taking the bullshit jobs anymore. So it does look like we have these openings, but the openings are still cashiers at gas stations. They're not managers or corporate level anything. So be on the lookout for that. That's a farce, right? If you go to the grocery store and you pick three, four, five things up and it's $100, can you really afford that? Even if they are printing and handing you money,
Mm,
um, that's the first biggest sign that we're in a recession. When you can't afford food, when people really start scaling back on what they're going to eat, what they can eat, what they can afford, pay attention to that. The cost of housing is through the roof, everywhere on a national level. The cost of renting an apartment, buying a house, everything. And again, we look at it like people that own houses are like, oh my God, my property value is through the roof. Yeah, but good luck finding somebody to buy it or to qualify for it, right? Because
mhm.
if nobody's working, then who's buying the homes, right? So again, a lot of it's hype. And so maybe we're not in the recession exactly just yet, but there really is no place else to go. We can't keep
Mhm.
money at the rate we're printing it and not expect to hit a wall.
And
That's
I'm glad I'm going to parking lot that real quick. Of course, I'm going to bring you in there, Shawnette, but I just wanted to touch base on saying I'm glad you talked about how we're printing money. Some new statistics came out about how fast we're printing money.
hmm
And it's outrageous. The lamest term I want to use in reference to recession, because I know the show, a lot of young people, watch the show as well, just all different age groups. Um, so you'll definitely also know a recession is coming. We're in one, or we're about to start heading that way. However you want to phrase it, is when you see people hold on to their dollar and stop spending, right?
Right.
Because guess what? That turkey leg or that this and this is so high to the sky. You're like, I'm not paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then guess what? You have your wealthy, you have your rich, you have your middle class, your upper middle class, poor, working class, then you're poor. Once
Mm-hmm.
the rich, not the wealthy, they don't even exist in this scenario, but once the rich start to panic, then everybody else holds on to their dollar. And we're like, wait a second, we're not spending. This is ridiculous. And
Mm-hmm.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning, as you already stated. How do we prepare for this recession? Because we're headed. I think the reason why the government hasn't per se put that out there is just, I think that the economy would start to tank, right? If they
Right.
say, hey guys,
Right.
let's grabbing on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Shawnette, just to bring you in the game, and then we'll go to the comments that are coming in. It seems like panic is among us. So just off rip, we've already dealt with COVID. We're still dealing with COVID, Delta, the new variant. Shit. And then now, right now, you can't even find chicken wings. First of all, I love chicken wings, y'all, right? And so I remember talking about how the wings was very hard. I have paid like $20 one time for a pack, and I'm like, that's
You
the
said that.
spot.
Yes, you
But now
did.
you can't find no chicken wings. I
Mm-hmm.
had went to the grocery store thinking that I found some chicken wings. It was drumsticks covered in the wing body, and I was like, well, what the hell is going on in today's society? So, I mean, just bring us in reference to panic, and then we'll hit the comments and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm just trying to hold it all in because that's exactly what I was going to say. We talk just anytime you hear about prepping,
Mhm.
then we are preparing for a lot of the time some emergency, perhaps even a disaster. It's just
Mhm.
not a regular day, right?
Yeah.
And so there already comes a level of anxiety with the impending danger or change in situation. And so, with talk about recession, with talk about um, all the things that we're talking about, all the things that we're faced with, a lot of people are faced with also anxiety. And anxiety is worry, intense worry, right? Or even fear about something that has not yet happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's the anticipation that something is going to happen, and you're worried or fearful about what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right now, it makes sense to be prepared. We prepare for things that we expect, right? So we expect it to rain, we're prepared, we have an umbrella, etc. But if we are anxious, then we are worried beyond preparing. We are afraid. We've got an umbrella and we're thinking the worst. When it rains, I'm going to be in trouble. Something is going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
If the worst for you is that you're going to get wet, then that's what you're panicked about. If it's that your umbrella is not going to work, it's going to blow away, right? That's what you're panicked about. So when we talk about prepping, it's important to for each and every person to really evaluate where they are with regard to fear. Are you responding out of fear, or are you truly preparing for what is to come? What
Mm.
do you guys
Well,
think about that?
it's just interesting because as much as there has to be a balance, because as much as you're saying, you know what, I know it's going to rain, let me just go ahead and get that umbrella. Clearly, as we can clearly see, there have been situations this year where people did not prepare or have the stuff there. The floods that took place up north. Guess what? How many times it gets hit down south, and then the category 1 tropical storm, so and so, it comes through, it blows something away, and you go about your business. People died. Natural catastrophes are happening. We're going to hit those comments, I promise you. But just speaking of natural catastrophes, the state of Texas came out with an announcement already telling people there's a shortage of propane gas. So be warned, right? So what that told me when I heard that announcement is, guess what? In Texas, the beginning of this year, numerous people lost their lives because it just froze over, right? South Texas never freezes over. It froze over. You had dumbass going to Cancun. What's his name? Dumbass.
We can call him that. His name's Cruz, but
Yeah, Cruz, dumbass
right.
Cruz. Yeah. He went to Cancun. The news media found him, and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But anywho, they're already telling you there's going to be a shortage, so y'all better get it together. So it's like, wow,
Mhm.
even when you're like, "Hey, let me just not per se panic. Let me prepare. It's going to rain. Let me have that umbrella." But you got to even do more. Your own government's telling you there's a shortage on gas. Like, wow. But we're going to go ahead and get to these comments real quick.
Mhm. So Z chimes in with good evening, all.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey, and Earl said good evening.
good evening.
Hey.
Good evening, Annie.
What
So Humble Lion said, "What's up, y'all?"
up? What up? Yes,
Alistair chiming in, talking about good evening too.
yes.
Then, here we go, Kia. This is all you. So Mr. Earl said, "I want to take my vote back. Biden is horrible."
Well, that's gonna be a whole nother podcast, but but you know what I say, and this is from anything that we do, we have to hold people accountable before we give them the prize, right? Before we say, here are the keys and the golden ticket, we got to say, y'all got to, you got to do something. We got to see some things in writing. I mean, I think we're still in a good position because guess what? Biden doesn't run for next election. Kamala's probably wanting to run,
Where's
right?
she? You seen her?
I don't even know where she
I
is,
haven't
but
seen
you'll
her.
see her during that
That's a
time.
whole different. That's a different subject. I'm sorry.
She's gonna put them Converses on. She's gonna grab them pearls. You know how they do the chucks and the pearls, and she'll probably be out there and advocating and doing different things. And I think now is the time we need to hold pressure now and say, "Hey, y'all want our vote? Then you need to have these things into play, or you will not get our vote." I mean, like I said, that's a whole nother podcast, but I do think that this is a perfect time to address it because people are out here hurting. So definitely, I'm with you, Earl.
I mean, the option was the other guy. Just saying. All right. So Humble Lion said, "Money that's printed and has no labor behind it, and that's not backed by anything, is inevitable, unavoidable disaster." Speaking, can we throw crypto in there? Because I think that that's a sleeping dragon. So much real money has been invested into this made up thing that, we could design crypto tonight. You want to come up with something, get a cool name, throw it out there, and for some reason, this is currency now. But it's not even printed anymore. It's typed up.
So I
Something
want
that
to say
has
this about that comment. I had somebody that I know put this up there. They said nearly 40% of all the money ever printed in America was printed in the last 12 months.
huh?
Let that sink in. Even if you suck at math and economics, does that sound like a healthy solution to you? That's crazy. Like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do the research on that, but the person that I'm reading this from, majority of times, is on point with it.
Incredible.
And it's just really crazy. I do know that they're printing money as if it was, some toilet paper. And like you said, Humble Lion, you got to have something to back it up. I understand, you know, if it were a Republican was in office, right, we'd be like, oh, these damn Republicans. But either party, everybody keeps just doing it, and it just keeps piling and piling and piling. And we are in a dire need right now for some relief.
Mm-hmm. And so Earl said people are flocking to Atlanta, paying cash for homes.
Well, let
Another
me say
buyer
this.
beware
A
situation.
lot of people are also, I knew from New York, a lot of people were like, hey, it's becoming too liberal. They were leaving the North, coming to the South. One of the people I knew, they were selling their house for like 600 some $1,000. A person from New York offered him cash 800 grand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not just Atlanta, it's here in Florida as well.
Right, right. So Toya came in with good evening, Queens. Good evening, Miss Toya. So Cash, hey. so hey everyone. So Earl is on it tonight, talking about $26 for dark meat at Costco.
Well, you found some chicken wings because I want to know what's going on. Where
I'm
are
telling
the
you.
wings? Okay, there's no wings on my side of town.
Oh man. And so all right, next time I'm at the store, Key, I'm gonna look for some drumsticks and some water for you. No, wings and water. I got you. I'll be out there. So, Z said, "Oh no, this is something you said earlier." He said, "Drumstick covered in a wing body." What the what? So I need more
Yes,
information.
when I tell you, okay, so it literally wasn't a deformed chicken, but it had the sign that said wings. So I ran over there like a goofy ass, like, ooh, some wings, looking thirsty as hell. And it was nothing but drumsticks. Where all the drumsticks come from? Why wasn't nobody selling drum? First of all, if there's a chicken, right, you're gonna bust this chicken down, and there's gonna be a certain amount of drumsticks, which is two, right? Let me get my fingers in the chip. And then there's gonna be the two wings. So how you got more drumsticks than wing? I don't know. Somebody tell me what's happening,
Because
but
Wingstop bought them, Kia.
no, they do thighs now. It's thigh stop. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Humble Lion said America is a control collapse. Our Social Security is gone, and they are coming for our 401ks, believe it or not. This is the biggest distribution of wealth from the American people using a crisis.
Yeah, yeah. That within itself is a whole nother conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The Social
That's what they're doing.
Security, yeah, is completely gone. And you know what? When it's our time to retire, I don't know if we'll be having any of that to tap into.
Z said, Kia, you were correct, Senator Dumbass.
Yes,
So,
yes.
mm-mm. Can't do it. So Cash said these are very volatile times. A once in a lifetime event seems to be happening every month. Every month, like every day.
You know what's
Mm.
funny? And it's not funny. I had took a picture of this, and I'm so sorry. I would share it with you guys, but I'm afraid if I hit the wrong button, and then the whole screen will go debacle again. So I'll just
Mm-hmm.
read it. So this was projected on the news. Thanksgiving projected to be the highest on record.
Yep.
So in 2020, for 16-pound turkey, it was going for $28.80. This source comes from the Texas A&M AgriLife. But $28.80 for a 16-pound turkey, that seemed a little high, but people were getting it done.
That's a
This is
big old
during,
turkey too.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
like
This is a
twins.
big turkey to feed the family and everything.
Mm-hmm.
2021, a same pound turkey is going to be $55.20. There will be no turkey for you people out there. No turkey for nobody.
Definitely
You
no
gotta
wings.
get turkey wings, yes. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about a little bit about the prepping part. Of course, we'll talk about the mental and we'll bring you back in, Sean. That, but the prepping part, I want to say right now, the Black Friday pre-sales are out, especially if you don't really like to shop in crowds. You don't want to go out there. You have claustrophobia. Of course, a lot of internet shopping as well. But if you can, because a lot of things are out of stock. If you have the storage, try to go ahead and get like a deep freezer and go ahead and get your meats and start deep freezing those as well. And this is not because, yeah, you're cooking for, the family of 12 and the in-laws are coming in for the holidays. This is just for you because they said there's a meat crisis. It was reported on MSNBC that there is a shortage on meat, plus their meats are very, very high now. People are looking at other sources besides meat. Of course, you always had your Beyond Meats and different things. People are also talking about eating bugs. Like, it's getting that bad. Um, I'm like, wow. I'm not saying that it's not a good source of protein for some. I knock nobody. But with that being said, is this where we came? Is this where we're coming to, right? Where meats are costing $55 and some change. My mother hit me up and said, wow, a woman said that she paid $50 for a pot roast. I won't be eating pot roast tonight. I don't know what's happening here. What is your limit, guys, on how much you would spend for meats?
Oh wow, okay. Probably too much. I'd have to scale back someplace else. So that's yeah. I think the limit is because food. That's I mean that's sustenance, right? So I
Okay.
mean I don't always try to find a better option. Coupon where you can. Make sure that you have your memberships to all your different grocery stores that you shop at. Rack up your points. Make it make sense. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
just telling you that, oh my God, I'll pay top dollar. I don't care. Oh, I do care. But when it comes to scaling back, we're gonna have to scale back on something else. But my children will eat. Um, that that's not negotiable.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Shauna?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we want no matter what your budget is, we want to maximize our
Mhm.
spending. And so someone who has less money might stop and say, I'm not going to buy a $2 pack of hot dogs. I usually get them at 99 cents.
Mhm.
Someone who's accustomed to a pot roast every Sunday, they might pay another $10 or another $15 if that's something that they can afford. The reality is this: people, since the beginning of time, have been faced with crises, whether it's food shortages, whether it's drought, as we talked about, natural disasters, plagues and disease, et cetera, and et cetera. And people have been able to survive. So the reality is, if we can only afford a loaf of bread a month and we've got to ration the crust of the bread, then that's what we'll do. If we can not afford bread, and some of us may not be able to, then we will go out and forage, and we will go out and look for bugs, as you said, and we will eat them. And people will survive in the way that they can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. The economists, and I do listen to them because a lot of them, I would say majority of them are kind of neutral based. They're not pro or like, hey, it's the Republicans' fault, it's the Democrats' fault. They just look at numbers, like, and they read the numbers and kind of do their prophecies off of that. But they were basically saying, voicing more discouraging messages. Higher prices will likely last well until next year, if not beyond. On Wednesday, the government said its consumer price index scored a 6.2 from a year ago, the biggest 12-month jump since 1990. The crazy thing also as well is some people say, and I'm going to throw that conspiracy theory is this done deliberate? The reason why I say oh wait, the reason why I'm believing kind of the conspiracy is because if you look at the docks and the ports in California, they're bottlenecking, right? So it's like, hey, I don't have enough manpower to get that cargo, those freights off of the ship, so to put them down so they can be loaded on the truck, so the trucks could then go to the grocery stores and so forth, so on. So let's just say we had 10 people working at this dock, this port, you know, everybody's waiting in line so they can kind of come in. And while I'm working on this one cargo ship, you got all these other ones just sitting there. Well, guess what? You don't have to stay there, dumbass. Am I using that word a lot today? You can go to the port in Texas. You can go to the ports in Miami. You can go, I mean, you literally can circle the whole United States to get the merchandise that you need. Why would you just stay in this one isolated area and just sit there? Just sit there. So literally, you're like, man, I wonder where that item I bought on Amazon. It did say 2 days shipping. The shit is sitting out there in the water. It's been there for 6 months. I'm
Well,
not logically understand. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
well, I was just going to say, logistically, you can't just pull up to any dock and unload your goods. You cannot, right?
Mm,
Logistically, any airplane can't land where you feel like landing because there's a landing strip. Doesn't work that way.
you can get
There are
permission.
customs, there are tariffs, there are sanctions, there are taxes, there's a whole bunch of things that go into the gross domestic product. And you're not just going to park anywhere and do anything. And so there's a system. But when we talk about the system, right, whether or not we're talking about school shortages and teacher shortages, we're hearing a lot about that. Hospital staff, hospital employee shortages. If you all remember, probably a year and a half ago or so, when we did a show called The New Normal, and I said, what, there, that ain't going to never see normal again.
Yeah,
Never, 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 never again.
right.
And so I
Agreed.
said that not to scare anybody, but to be real about the fact that life as we know it is no more.
Mm.
It is no more. And so it a little bit, it bothers me that the media, and this is just my personal bother,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, go ahead.
I take this on. It's just me. It's my pet peeve.
Do it. Go there.
Go ahead.
This just me. But the media and even people, even ourselves, we spend a lot of time talking about what's going to happen. We create a panic. I remember when the morgues, and sorry for I'm not being insensitive, but I'm wanting to share how we had started to become desensitized to pictures of mortuaries and funeral homes who had bodies piled up because of COVID victims.
Mhm.
Remember? And they
Mhm.
couldn't bury them in time. It just wasn't enough ground space. And there were people, lines coming out of the hospitals. Now, this is when the very beginning, right, of COVID. Well, here we are. Numbers haven't changed. People are still dying. Why do they have room at the funeral home now?
Mm.
We had asked for manufacturers to develop ventilators at one point because we just couldn't keep up with. But do we have enough now?
Mhm.
There were no children dying, but now all the children they might be dying,
Get them
Mm.
vaccinated.
right? And so it doesn't matter what. I would think you talked about the killer bees at one point, Kia.
Yeah.
That was one of the things.
Killer bees was on
And,
attack.
right,
It
it was the
wasn't
killer
Queen
bee.
Bee. Oh.
It was the bees. It was the locusts. It was the salmonella in the lettuce. It was the. I'm telling you, you could find anything today, tomorrow, to be frightened
But
of.
what I'm hearing from you, if I may, what I'm hearing from you when you made that statement, like, hey, I was on the show and we talked about, this is the new normal. Every boom, 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 boom. And like Cass said, these are volatile times. I guess there's still that shock though. Like, even though
Who,
we
who,
know,
who is
well,
shocked?
well,
Have
I'll
you
say
watched,
this. I'll
have
say
you watched the
this.
show? Whoever is shocked in TV world, whoever is within the sound of our voices, now or later, if you are truly shocked by the
Mm,
happenings that have been happening in the last year, if you're truly shocked,
mm,
even if we want to go back to some of the killings that we saw, some of the racial, uh, whatever you want to pick out that you're shocked by. If it
Hmm.
was the storming of the Capitol, if it's the I'm not wearing a mask, if it's the abortion bill, what I'm telling you, have your people call into the show and share with us how they are shocked about
mm.
any of what has happened within the last year at least. I want to know how they shocked. I just want to know. I want to talk to with them.
I mean, maybe that's a poor choice of words because now in 2020, 2021, and then now it's about to be 2022, anything goes, right? But I guess I don't know, maybe for me, I'm going to use the word shocked. And I'll give you the simple scenario of with the flash floods. So we hear about flash floods here and there. Poor Mary, she got swept away. I can't swim, so that's really serious. But it seems like an everyday thing now. A flash flood comes out of nowhere. So on South Street, where it always rained, right? Now you can't just go on that street on a rainy day because your car is going to just get flown away somewhere. I mean, so I guess that was a thing. Like you wake up and it's just like wow, and it's like a everyday. And I know what you just said in reference to showing it. You're like, hey, this is the new normal.
Global
Like, what the hell?
warming. We've been talking about global warming for how many years? Now we surprised that the ice that melted has become water
Shock.
and had to go somewhere. We shocked. Oh, where's this water come from?
Right.
Mm,
I don't know that we're really shocked. I think that we are not living in a realistic world. I think a lot of people are, I'm a very pessimistic, optimistic person, right? What kind of person is that? That's a person that I can see that is ugly and I can see that it's pretty. And then I try my best to make the best of what it is. And that to me is what prepping is about, right? I can't stop the rain,
Right.
but should the rain come, if I have an umbrella, I might not get as wet.
got
So
it.
it's
Got
possible that the rain could come, flash flood happen, and I drown. I'm gone. I'm swept in the river.
it. Got
That
it.
is possible. But I will not live my everyday in fear or with worry
Mm,
about something that I can't control.
yes.
Because worry actually takes over your now, right? You're
Mhm.
concerned about something that hadn't happened yet, may never happen. So your worry has got you in the future, which
Hmm.
is not the here and now. People
Hmm.
are missing out on living right now because they worried about what's going to happen at the end of the world. Guess what? At the end of the world, it's going to be over.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
Let's go
Yes.
to the comments real quick. Let's go to the comments real quick.
All right. Let's see where we start. And Cash said, I would scale back on eating out first. Cooking at home is still a lot cheaper than eating out.
Yes.
That's
Throwing in the towel. I'm challenging it. I am challenging that one. Yes. All right. So, same thing I was saying before, right? Pay attention to your rewards and your points and your deals and your everything else, right? Now, I am not advocating that you eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner out in the street. That is not what I'm saying. Please hear me loudly and clear, right? But a habit that I've picked up in the last couple of months, right? And it's working for McDonald's, but it's working for me. I'm not a McDonald's person, don't care for them, but that sweet tea is bomb, right? Now, if you have the app, get an app for these things, right? If you have the app, if you spend $1 in the morning, they'll give you an entire free order of hotcakes. So, by way of, let me pay this forward every day because I don't eat any kind of pancakes. I know I'm the weirdo. Sorry, I don't eat any pancakes. Sorry, but it feels really, really good to walk into work and say to somebody, "Here's breakfast." On me or McDonald's, but whatever, right? Or if
Yeah.
I happen to pass by a homeless person, to reach out and give them a full-on order of hotcakes, butter, syrup, everything. And all I bought was $1 for tea. Yeah, why not, right? So you're not going to get any cheaper than that. Can you make a stack of pancakes at home for $1 and get a drink? No. Right now, with the cost of meats being so high, I know that Chili's, for example, has a 3 for $10. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but you get your soft drink, your salad, and your steak and broccoli for $10. Now, it's not the world's biggest piece of steak, and it's not the same steak that you would get if you went to Houston's, but but it's a protein, a vegetable, a salad, and a drink, right? So, I mean, yeah, cooking at home is going to be healthier, but not necessarily less expensive if
I
you're
would
looking
say
for.
this. I would say this. Of course, if an individual has the money to go out, because everybody's pocketbook is a little bit different. Everybody's financial scenarios are different. You have the money to go out, like you said. There's apps, there's coupons, there's different things. Groupon has all
Mhm.
different types of little things that you can do or whatever. And they're wanting people to get out, right? Because that's how the restaurant industry lost their business because people stayed
Right.
home and they were too afraid and they may still be afraid. But if that doesn't per se work for you, and
Hmm.
you're like, wait a second, I can't get out. I'm not going to be able to buy the Christmas presents, right? Because Christmas is coming in, and I'm not going to be able to buy the Christmas presents and go out to eat and do this and this. Definitely going on Groupon, utilizing those same apps and those same coupons, and stacking up the fridge and getting your dry food, your canned food, and all those different items where you can. I know Groupon. Speaking of Groupon, they have Sam Club, Costco's.
One
BJ.
year membership.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, 1 year membership for $15, and if you sign up with us here, then you get a free chicken and some this and some this. So they're giving all these different types of spiffs out there for people so that
Right.
they can kind of sign. And those things are good. So you want to get your bulks. I know you don't want to panic and go ahead and get those tissues and stuff, but I went to Sam's Club and there was absolutely no tissue, and it's like, wait, not this again, So here are opportunities for you, instead of eating out if you choose to.
So Humble Lion said this is a man-made famine. It's plenty of truckers. They are being turned away. Farmers are paid to destroy their crops. The country has been taken over by the Federal Reserve and global banking elite.
I heard that, Humble Line. You give us some more of this, Humble Line. Feed us some of this other information, Humble Line.
Question. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I see this comment. Let me just ask a question real quick.
Go ahead.
What will we do if we discover that the rumors are true?
You want us to answer, or you asking me?
Yes,
I,
please.
I feel that if we knew for if everybody was in agreement that the conspiracy theories are true, I think we can make a difference because we're the ones that allow the things that happen. We're the ones that have the power in our hands. If they say right now, my mom always says it. If so, right now they said, hey, the price of these items at the store are this amount, and we are the people, we're not going to pay this. This price is absolutely crazy, and because that business is losing money because we're not purchasing from this corporation again or whatever, they're like, wait, we got to bring these people back in. Maybe we'll do BOGOs or do buy one get one free or do something like. So we do have some type of power to make people move because we're there. That's if we're all in agreement. I mean, we're not, but
It sounds like you're saying that the people, and I agree in terms of buying power, have the ability to move the scale with regard to supply and demand. And that makes sense, right? So we're not going to buy this. I'm not spending that outrageous amount of money. And then let's just say a government prints more money, and now it's a little bit more, we've got more expendable income. And people during the pre recession or whatever was going on, when those checks, the stems was coming out, people were buying, they weren't buying toilet paper, which you're probably going to use for the rest of your life and
Mm-hmm.
always need. They weren't buying toilet paper. They were buying items for the gram,
not
and
for the
so
gram. Do
They
it for
were though. Them lashes. They were
the
flying away because of stimulus money. Why you
you
playing?
gotta do it for the gram. Do it for the gram. Okay, sorry. Wrong show. Sorry. But go ahead with the go ahead with the comment.
Earl said, "I go fishing for our protein." So, all right. So resorting to nature. I love
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's a good skill set to have. I
Hmm.
know how to fish. I know how to scale that nasty sucker back. I don't like it, but go ahead.
So Humble Lion said, "I know people don't go that deep, but it's facts. People only go after the people they can see." Okay, ooh, we should say that one again. So they only
And
go
to
after the people
and
they
to
can
speak
see.
upon that, I mean, I'm always into the news, guys. If you haven't peeped that yet, me and Liz, our pastime is kind of getting into that news. We be sending each other late night messages and just talking about the news, like, "Ooh, did you see that on channel 2?" But anywho, if y'all didn't know, they issued, I guess, indictment on Bannon. So when you find out who are the crooks and the criminals, they still putting the middle fingers up like, fuck you, I'm still not participating in trying to help you in anything. So even when you do know who the big dogs are, they just like, and they're not trying to
Right,
get prosecuted. I mean, they're true thugs. They are the true gangsters.
right. So Z said, in order for a cargo ship to get to the East Coast, they would have to travel through the Panama Canal. They would have to pay the associated fees to that government to do such. I mean, and I hear that that's kind of what Shawnette was saying. You can't just do that. But I'm gonna have to side with Key on this one. So because I mean, not necessarily that they have to get to the East Coast, right? But there's a whole lot of coast along the West. Like there's multiple states that we have coastlines for, right? I mean, Also, if we could just be a little nicer to Mexico, maybe we could use their coastline too. Just saying, right? You know,
Well,
I
and to
mean,
add, and oh, go ahead, Liz. Go ahead, go Liz. Go
but I
Liz.
mean, no, I completely understand that you can't just turn any old beach into a cargo portal. I completely get that, right? But we did last year just turn any old parking lot into full on hospitals.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Open
We
hospitals.
turn car factories into mass manufacturers, right? I mean, we can do whatever we need to do when we're in a bind. So don't tell me that we've had this issue for months. I understand it the first week or two or three. I understand it the first 2 months or 3 months. But right now, you're talking about you have a months long backlog, and we haven't given that any thought. Like no thought whatsoever. We don't have any merchant marines out there that can bring them
Well,
in if it's even
and
one
it's
box
so
at a time.
interesting because when white folks plan, I love my white folks. I love all the folks, but when they
Hmm.
plan way out in advance. They don't plan like us, like, oh, now what we gonna do for the month of December? No, 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 no. They know what they fitting to do for the month of December 30/30. With that being said, though, like you
30,
said,
30.
well, like you said though, Liz, we can do what we want to do. When we want to do it, we're gonna do it. If they say, hey, tomorrow we're doing it this way, we're gonna be like, what? Is this our new normal? Yes, it is. Deal with it. So if you truly want the merchandise out, if you truly wanted the services to get there in the hands of the people, it would be there. If you truly wanted the workers, raise the damn prices, right? Raise the minimum wage up instead of people making these little pennies. We had that conversation earlier. If they truly wanted it. Oh, T
Time.
for time out.
Oh,
T
time,
for
time,
time out. Go ahead.
time.
T for
um,
time out, everybody.
I, as liberal as I love to be, right? When we start talking about increasing people's income, 50% or 100% overnight, because going from $10 to $15 an hour is a big, big deal. And we celebrate it for the workers until we realize that when we celebrating for those workers, those same workers now can't pay their rent because rent went up 50% too. And so did food. And so did everything else. So you never actually got to see your $5 an hour raise. And I think that once again, they're giving us these little so-called victories, these small little wins, and we take them every single time, right? If your boss called you right now and said, "Hey, we're gonna give you an extra $200 in your paycheck this month," oh my God, you do a dance, right? And then if your landlord calls you and said, "But your rent's going up $2,000 this month," nobody's willing to cry with you anymore because they were just dancing with you over your $200 yesterday. And why are you complaining? No matter what we do, you're going to complain anyway, right? So let's be really careful of these little breadcrumbs at the candy canes that they're that they're putting along the path here, because we bite every time. So they've been giving us money, they've been printing money, they've been giving the least amongst us these raises, and for what? You can't afford grocery, you can't afford gas to get to work, but they
Mm-hmm.
want you at work. And when also, in order for you to get your $15 an hour, your $20 an hour, go ahead and take these shots. You're going to show up when we want you to.
Not the
We're gonna,
shots. Oh no.
it comes with so many conditions that did you really get to enjoy what should have been a 50% increase in life? How do you have a 50% increase in life and a three times that increase in the cost of living? We're celebrating the wrong things. We're not paying attention.
And you know what the bad thing, and then we'll go back to the comments and Shawnette. The bad thing about this is, not everybody, because unfortunately the terminology woke, right, has been used by the other side as like this bad thing. Everybody's woke, right? But for the ones who really know the definition, who are really, open minded and really know what's really going down, I think for the bulk of everyone else, they're blindsided and they're just taking it one step at a time,
Mhm.
and it hurts to see that. It hurts to see people that and they don't know what's really going out there, and they're just living their lives. Definitely, I always think, Sean, that for being just a phone call away, like, girl, and she's like, hey, and the first law of preservation is self. So you got to be able to take care of yourself first, your actual home and what you got going on, and then be able to share the resources and these things. But we could go to the next comments.
Mhm. It's also it's like a bad sci-fi movie.
On the
It
sci-fi channel, the
really, really
sci-fi channel
is.
sucks. Every once in a blue moon got a hit or something, but oh my god, yeah, yes, Earl.
Hmm. So, Cash said, I was shocked, maybe not by the racism, but everything else. But I have expanded my realm of what is possible to anything. I wouldn't be shocked if aliens showed up tomorrow.
You know that's crazy because he's always doubted me when I talk about the aliens, boy, and that's gonna be a top. When the aliens come out, y'all gonna be tuning in, man. Y'all
Come
gonna be
back,
like,
yeah, come
wait
back, come
a
back, come
second. I was going down the hole, but I'm telling you, when them aliens drop, y'all gonna be like, Kia, you told me. Okay.
So, Humble Lion said, I'm torn between global warming and weather manipulation.
Mm.
So, cloud seeding and chemicals are real. Look up in the sky before your next flood.
That is very true. Very true. Just to talk about that, and this is what's crazy. They're becoming more and more bold about it. You gotta live. I know people don't like the news; it can get overwhelming, but you gotta hear those key little tidbits. I always say, even for the show here, if you can't tune in, maybe just play it in the background, right? Just and do your cleaning or whatever you got going on, just to hear it. But
Mm-hmm.
the stuff is in the words. They said literally during that time frame of those flash floods, it rained 600 billion gallons worth of water. What does that mean? Like, wait, what, like the numbers that they were reading, they said it was like, I don't know how many Olympic sized pools it was, but it all within a 24-hour. That was never heard of. Like, I mean, so even if you're not per se, oh, I love the news, you got to hear what these people be talking about. They said, oh, only in a lifetime have we had an Arctic blast hit the southern hemisphere. The Arctic blast. Well, where the fuck the Arctic come from? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, same question, same thing. So,
Yeah.
okay. So we find out that this or that, and then what are we going to do? I mean, that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
with this show is about being prepared. So, how do you prepare for what's out of your control? What do you do? I always noticed that when anytime there was space exploration, that our weather would just, you know,
Girl,
and I
talk
mean,
about it, girl. What's happening?
how do you? But I mean, it's just simple science, I guess. If we disturb water
Right.
and throw a stone into it, and that ripple
Mm,
happens, and the ripple
Right.
goes right, and then there's more water on the shore, and then maybe there's more erosion because of the water. That I mean, there's an effect for everything, and so.
mhm,
Right.
mhm,
Right.
But
Right.
the thing that I'm asking about though is now what? I mean,
mm,
we could, and I love it. I love to talk with you guys, but we could talk about every change that we've seen in the last 30 days, and we would not run out of topics to speak about. But what are we going to do about it? Because if all we do is talk about it, it
mhm,
only increases anxiety. It
Mm-hmm.
only increases fear and panic. And
mhm,
what kind of living is that? I
mhm.
mean, what are you going to do about it if any of this is true? If the aliens show up tomorrow, what are you going to
Go to
do?
work
I say
Monday.
get locked and loaded. I mean, that's
I'm going to work. It's
but
Monday.
no. I mean, but here's a kicker. Here's a kicker because so there's so many different shows about prepping and hey, prepping for this, prepping for that, prepping for that. We know that these things are here. These things are volatile. Serious situations. I think what we can do in this time, I always feel communication is the best thing because there are people who just don't know. For the ones that do know, I feel that we should kind of come together. I think we should, like minds think alike. So there may be some type of avenues where I'm not prepared in, right? Or I forgot this. Oh, snap, y'all got this over here. And let me see what you guys are doing. I talked about her pallet of water. That was something I was like, well, a pallet of water. I never even thought of, just different things like that. I mean, I know I'm in Florida here, but Shawnette, you would see me so fast in your basement. And you'd be like, well, where the hell you come from? I'm here with my family. Locked arms. See what I'm saying? And you may have some of the guests try to follow me too. I mean, it's it's here. I think that we do need to find some way of kind of consolidating our ideas and
Hmm.
working more together. Because what I do see is we're all kind of in our own little bubble. Even for the ones who do have some type of plan, we're still within that,
Yeah, under the
our it's
silo.
our, thing instead of kind of working together. Here's some more comments here.
So, Humble Lion said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a critical thinker. Big
Mm,
difference.
okay.
I hear that.
Okay.
I'm with that. Um,
Okay.
Earl said, the transportation secretary sucks. There's a joke in there, but I'm gonna let it go.
Okay. Okay.
So Al said if the aliens come, he's staying home. He don't want to see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Humble Lion said nobody on the planet can prep for the end of the world. The end of a society will come first. We have to prepare according to crisis. Right. So couple of things. I know, Kay, you had said that there's this whole term woke that everybody is tossing around, right? And especially, I find that, and I'm not throwing them under the bus. I'm saying that the younger people do spend most of their time in their phone, right? So they get up in the morning and they stay in bed and they turn their phone on and they start checking for this and
For
posting that and
hours.
everything else. And I think I'm pretty sure it was Al Sharpton that I heard say this week, right? He goes, I mean, what's the point if you woke up and stayed in bed? Facts. Right? So, I mean, so you did in fact wake up and then you reached for your phone and you started complaining about everything that's wrong in the world. But did you get out of bed though? I mean, literally,
Mm-hmm.
physically, did you get out of bed? Before you posted your first complaint about life, did you brush your teeth? Right? So, I feel like we need to just get back to basics. Like, I mean, when I say get back to basics, right? Shanette said, if all these problems are coming fast and furious, what are you doing to prepare for it mentally, physically, emotionally? I mean, we keep talking about what's wrong. Okay, but what have you done? And not for society as a whole. If you can't take on society as a whole, that's fine. I'm not asking you to. But what have you done to take care of you and the people in your house, right? And if you can't answer that, if you can't say, this week I did this for myself, for my family, for my friend, for my coworker, go back to bed. Like literally, and don't just get in bed, go to sleep, right? And try waking up for real next time. Because I mean it has gotten a little old, right? So we're talking, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, Shawnette, for you being somebody who, is a coach, who is a coach, who's a mentor, who gives guidance and these different things. Do you find yourself in a situation where, because, you use your voice to help, right? Do you find yourself speaking more or just kind of staying more silent? I find myself at these times, as much as I love to use my voice and communicate and share information, like, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear this? Because I see some people not taking action, I'm just like, you're whack. Not talking to you no more. Like, do you find yourself in those situations, or you're just kind of in the middle road because of your profession?
Well, I mean, because of my profession as a mental health counselor, I do speak more. I'm speaking more because there are more people who are affected by anxiety, who are affected by depression. There are people who are dealing with mood disorders who never experienced them before until now. The pandemonium, the propaganda, the
Mhm.
panic, the fear, every single day. You cannot turn on the television without being threatened by something. And so many people are dealing with PTSD. They're dealing with trauma. They're dealing with the stress that comes after a trauma, and they're not able to function. Their lives are impaired on some level. So I am speaking even more. And there are people who have lost hope, whether they've lost hope in the government, in society, in community, in themselves. But people are feeling helpless and hopeless. And many people do not know what to do or how to do anything. And I like what you said, Liz, about getting back to the basics. What about joy? When's the last time, without having to go somewhere and buy a concert ticket or buy a plane ticket, but when's the last time you had a good time?
Without having to have it chemically induced by something else, because that's
Right, right,
another
right.
problem. That's
Just
the next pandemic, is liver disease, lung cancer. Because I mean, people have been drinking and smoking up a storm for the last year and a half. And so I mean, if you think COVID's bad, wait until next year when people start needing those transplants that they can't get. And I'm not trying to sound gloomy and glum, but like, we've got to figure out joy without the additives. Like, when's the last time you just looked at the people in your house and said, let's play a board game? What's wrong with that? They don't cost nothing. So it's a
The
thought.
simple things. There is a activity. I wish I knew the name of it right hand. I would put it inside of the chat. but there are, and you can Google it. I mean, of course, I don't know the name of this actual activity book, but there is an activity book for adults, and it's all based upon who you're doing the activity with. So it's for couples, it's for the family, it's for just your homegirls or your homeboys, for just you and the kids, or even by yourself. And each day, without you spending, like you said, the money on those concert tickets or whatever, just doing things with yourself, taking that time out, to just be able to focus. These little simple things help a person refocus. And that is very, very key in these harsh times. I like to do a prepping show at least once every couple of months. I know there are some shows that are dedicated, every month or every week to prepping in some form or fashion, but I like to kind of just put it out there, just prepping on different things because we are in some serious times. I want to also put out there, since things are getting higher up in price, I don't want to leave the show without talking about the little ones. A lot of y'all had them COVID babies, right? And they're beautiful blessings of joy and everything. But at the same time, everything's going up in price, and so are those damn Pampers. I am so blessed that I do not have those little babies in Pampers, because your traditional box of Pampers, they're not the same cost anymore. So now when
Mhm.
you're having these holiday sales, it is very imperative for you to stock up on that, because you don't want it to be, once again, and like I said, in that recession, when people are slowly not buying,
And Kia
Uh-oh.
frozen
I
a
think
little
he
bit
is
there.
frozen.
Yeah.
uh,
It's that climate change. It froze Kia. So I can't have them pop up on the screen, but I am going to read a couple of the comments that came in. So Cash said, one thing I feel is in my control is trying to increase my earnings and savings. Money does give you some security and options for most problems. That's a valid point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Humble Lion says, Shawnette is right. We have to have a plan of action. Prepping is a lifestyle change. Brush up on your skills. We might have to live out of our bug out bags. So, and then Cash said, money helped Lying Ted get down to Cancun in a pinch. So he was talking about that financial prepping.
Yeah.
And then Humble Lion said, two of the best preps are spiritual and mental, and the physical shape completes it. So, yes, you do have to prepare yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. There's multiple avenues to this. Don't think because you bought some water and some flashlights that you got this under control.
That is,
Right? Kia, you
that
back
is
with us?
that is wonderful. Kiara,
Right.
you got Humble Lion. Thank you for
Hi.
that comment. She
I
said,
heard it for half a second,
she was
but
there for a moment, but oh,
yeah.
that was so good. And I agree with that.
Hmm.
We can't just focus on one aspect. Kia was just before she got frozen, speaking about Pampers. Now, you talked about this, Liz. There are certain staples, there are certain
Right.
necessities that we just absolutely need. Guess what? If somebody can't afford disposable diapers, you know what they're going to do? They're gonna take those bandanas that they was
Diapers.
covering their mouth up with, and they're gonna wrap it around their baby. No, they
Right.
are. They're gonna wrap it around the baby's booty, and they're gonna rinse them out, and they're gonna hang them up, and it's gonna work out. What I'm saying is that people are going to do what they have to do, and so if you're not going to prepare, meaning you have an expectation of something, you get ready for it the best way you can, then if you're not going to take action, what are you talking about?
Right. Right. And so, welcome back, Kia. So we thought
funny
that
because
climate change froze you over.
it's so funny because I was hearing it, and then my husband texted me. He's like you in the Matrix." Well, I was going to put out there, your cheap ass internet got my whole shit fucking up on my live. You know I don't play that. You got
Oh
to put you on blast. You need to have your internet connected to tell the people. I'm putting you on blast.
my gosh.
Cash
Oh
Money
Lord.
is my husband, and his cheap internet. Damn it! I swear to
I need
God.
something to hide behind. I need shots fired, on that duck.
How you, but here's the thing, y'all. I'm over here talking and da, 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 da. But how you gonna come at me talking about, oh, you in the Matrix and boo boo
In
boo
the
boo?
Matrix. I can't. So, all right. But
He has a nerve to put a comment in. What
That's right.
I feel like if
um,
I read that out loud, Kia just might spontaneously combust.
no, I'm sorry guys for being in and out of the loop. I like I said, I can see the comments coming in. I can hear you guys, but I guess I was froze on stupid, whatever the case may be. I just wanted once again to put it out there that we do have to get back to basics. We do have to be able to use our voice and to help and to give guidance and say, hey, Shawnette, I know somebody that needs some assistance. Can you talk to them? Can you help them out? Because we definitely want to make sure if you're ever feeling in a space where you're like, hey, you're really depressed, you want to talk to somebody, because this has been a crazy time enduring for mental health, because of every single thing that's taking place, and every single second you're hearing about all different types of terrible things that are happening. It's very informative to talk about prepping. And like I said, at least once every couple of months. I'm glad you had this great title, Liz, talking about preparing for a recession. A lot of people didn't even know. Like, you think we're in a recession? I don't know. And maybe because you are able to get a job so easily, right? Maybe because you lost a job yesterday and you got a job today. So it's
So fast. Yep.
impossible. It's impossible for us to be in a recession. But at the end of the day, everybody's talking about the increase in the value point of their house, but that can go down too. We've seen it happen. And like Shawnette also reminded me, we had this conversation before about the new norm. And this is our new norm, guys. Thank you for Shawnette for putting that out there again, that this is something that we're going to be dealing with, right? Every day there's going to be something else and something bigger. I'm just putting it out there. Once again, I'm a news buff. The trial right now, Rittenhouse?
Few of them, yeah, Rittenhouse.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's tuning in here or there, but it's a hot mess, and they activated the National Guard just because they think that something's going to go down. I think he's going to get off because of what's happening. But like you said, it's not a shocker anymore, right?
Yeah, that was
It's
never
not,
really
we're
shocking.
kind of we're kind of like
They don't even get
desensitized.
arrested, like let alone thrown in
Exactly.
jail. There's Rittenhouse, the Ahmaud Arbery cases going on. Um,
They
those are
still
two that
haven't come.
kind of, yeah. It's there's a lot going on, guys. They keep your ear against the wall, right? Keep your eyes open.
And not even to think, and just to wrap it up a little bit, also, we're coming into the holidays. We're coming to the holidays, and the holidays within itself. And I think Shawnette could talk about that. Is a serious time for people too. Maybe they have family, maybe they don't. That seems to always be, something where people kind of get in themselves. When the holidays come, that's when they're around most of their family, who they may or they may not want to see, right? You got to be around crazy fucking Louie, Uncle Louie, that one there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The wino, So we got to deal with all these different things. What was you going to say, Shawnette?
I was going to say, and then also you have those individuals who do not have family members to be around
Mhm.
around the holidays. Many people are grieving the loss of loved ones around this time. You've got people. Guess what? On top of all the other stuff we talked about, there are still people who are divorcing. There's still people who are experiencing domestic violence situations. There's still children who are being molested and physically abused and emotionally abused. There's the okay. There's still people who are dealing with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
Mhm.
with the coming of the holidays on top of everything else, people are having a difficult time just coping with every day. And so, right now is the time, if it's possible, to not saying that you've got to turn a blind eye to what's going on, but focus on what is important. If tomorrow we find out that all the money we've got stuffed under our mattresses is just paper,
Yeah.
that the 6 and 7 and 8 and $900,000 you were going to get for your house isn't worth no more than toilet paper,
Mhm.
then what really matters then? And I think that's what we need to start focusing on right now.
Mhm.
What really matters, right? And take that every day and go into the holiday season and into the new year with a new focus on what really matters.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because at the end of the day, if we start prepping for this now and taking it into the holiday season, that when the next big event takes place, guess what? It'll be less of a shocker for those who get shocked still. Because we're already preparing for that. We're preparing to live modestly.
Yeah.
Even if you have a nice big home, even though you have a nice good job, still start living modestly. I always said when people, the last recession that hit, say it didn't hit me because I knew what it was like growing up in the hood and, eating your oodles and noodles and doing all those things. I know
Mm-hmm.
how to make it work. But
Mm-hmm.
for those people, some people lost their lives. They were killing themselves and everything because they just didn't know what it was like, to do without. So if we're planning now to be self sufficient, to stock up, get your canned goods. Like I said, Groupon has a lot of different things to buy in bulk. Start doing these things already. Start doing activities, like you said, with the family instead of having to buy those concert tickets or whatever. You pulling out the
Instead of
debit
needing that
card.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, yeah. Because if your Wi-Fi is fucked, as you can clearly see, audience out there, if your Wi-Fi is messed up, you end up having like that stupid face, like,
Yeah.
and then everybody's looking like, "What's she saying?"
Wait, Kia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I remember you and I had a conversation probably some months ago, and I think we did a hypothetical. What would happen if and when the internet goes black?
Girl.
Mm.
We had that conversation,
Mm,
and in that conversation, we discussed that your Bitcoin, right, your cryptocurrency. I mean, everything that's online, all of the transactions, all of the e-commerce and things that we've become dependent on. All of us working from home and those kind of things. What happens when it goes black? You know what's going to happen, don't you?
yes, it is. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. And they're doing little test runs. If y'all haven't noticed, it'll be little test runs. Like one whole neighborhood will just be like, boop. And you be like, well, wait a second. And you be sitting there playing with your fingers, looking at your broken Wi-Fi. No, it's definitely happening. We got a comment that came in before we start wrapping it up.
Yep. Humble Lion said prepping our investments and so preppers are preparing. Oh my God, I'm all over the place. Can you help me out to now?
Prepping our investments, solar generators for power, investing in water purification systems, buy land to grow your own food. This is so
Yeah.
true because at the end of the day, these things are slowly but surely happening. You have to be able to look at and read the tea leaves. I know some people don't read the tea leaves, but you want to be able to. And you know what? If you have to be a nosy neighbor, don't be bold about being nosy, but just like kind of look, kind of just to see. And the reason why I say that, because if you see your neighbor pulling in the generators and doing this and this, you might need to be like, wait, Black Friday's coming up. Let me go ahead and buy that generator myself. Because guess what? It's happening. It really is. And I know that we don't want to talk about it. You may see like I'm over. I run into people like I don't even want to hear. God's gonna take me out. God's gonna take me out. Please, God gave you common sense. Let's use it. You
I like
know,
that. Humble Lion said he mentioned about acquiring skill or at least honing your skill. I think it's important, whether or not you believe that you're going to need to learn how to build a canoe tomorrow or not, or learn how to start a fire in the middle of a storm. But why not learn some life skills?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, how's that going to hurt you just to be prepared to survive life? You can't prepare for everything,
hmm
but you can prepare for what you expect. If you expect to live and be around here to see your grandchildren, then there's certain things you need to do today. So get
Mm-hmm.
started with those things today.
Yes, yes. Our last comment for the night before we wrap it up with Liz and
So
Shawnette. You can read it.
Humble Lion said, print important material off the internet now. Make books.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Take notes. Like take actual notes. Today this happened. This is how I felt about it. Because as much as they are not just whitewashing history, but making history very Pollyanna, we're living history, and we have a debt to our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren to tell them this happened. This is how I felt, but more importantly, this is how I prepared. Right? This is what came next. This is how we had to deal with it. This is what we needed to buy, because if we don't write it down, say it, mention it somewhere, they're not gonna know. Go buy toilet paper. They're not gonna know. Go buy coats or go buy a heater. They're not gonna know these things. So right.
Journal.
Charles
Yep.
said journal. That's the right word for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I know that Humble Lion said buy land. And I know that Key and I have had this conversation before, right? And so I feel that a lot of us are guilty of trying to speak to people only at our level, not necessarily people beyond us, and not necessarily people that haven't quite gotten to where we've made it just yet. Not that we've made it, but you get what I'm saying, right? We're all at different paths, at different points in our paths, right? Um, Food stamps can buy herbs. And I'm not talking about, out of a salt and pepper shaker. I mean, if you go to the grocery store, almost every grocery store I've ever been to, they sell oregano leaves in a pot with soil, right? They sell mint leaves. They sell parsley, right? You buy that, you stick it in the earth, and it starts multiplying. If you can't even buy land, because not everybody can buy land, right? That's not something you just, let me go buy land today, right? We can't all do that. But we can buy a freaking pot of peppermint, right? So that when, you get that, you can throw that peppermint in some water. You know what I mean? You can do that. And I'm telling you, food stamps will buy it at the grocery store, right? In the summertime, I mentioned to you guys, go buy coats, right? I hope you did. If you didn't,
You
okay.
did say that. You
I hope
did.
you did, right?
Come
Now,
on,
here we go. You know
Texas.
what? It's wintertime. Go buy seeds. A pack of seeds, you can buy them at the dollar store. They cost
I have
99
mine.
cents. It's not about money all the time. And you know what? When the whole COVID thing had started going last year for Mother's Day, I told my family, because we were all cooped up in the house, we couldn't go out to dinner, we couldn't do all the, the Mother's Day stuff. I promise you guys, I bought flower pots, legit from the smallest on up, right? I bought flower pots and I bought paint, and I told my kids what I wanted was for them to paint flower pots with me, right? And then I bought dirt and stuck the dirt in there, and we felt so accomplished just watching flowers, because I wanted to get them interest, right? And kids like colors. So we started with flowers, and we felt like, oh my God, my flower is growing first. My flower pot's the prettiest. I let the neighbors kind of from a distance take a vote on whose flower pot was the prettiest. They didn't vote for mine, but that's okay. And everybody felt at every stage in the game, they felt a little accomplished. But what's wrong with, we planted mints, and now my daughter goes out into the backyard with me, picks the mints and muddles it for her mint lemonade, and she feels like I did that. You know what I mean? There's ways that we can prepare, even if we can't buy a deep freezer, even if we can't buy a plot of land, we can buy a flower pot. That we can do.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say this for everybody that lives in a big city. It behooves you that if you live in a big city, not that you can pick up and move right now, right? You can't just, okay, I'm leaving everybody. Look into ways sooner than later to get out of a big city. So you say, well, why do I have to live in a big city? There's so many resources in the big city. Well, I don't need a car. I don't need it. The reason why is because you're compacted in a small environment. And I told you to be a nosy neighbor, right? But you're being a nosy neighbor, just kind of looking to say, is something going on? But while you're looking to see if something's going on, they're looking at other people saying, hey, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're right next to you. And they know when you come out of your apartment, when you leave your apartment, when this and when this. Cities are the hardest to get into and the hardest to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, I know you can't pick up right this second and say, hey, I'm moving to a more, rural or suburban neighborhood or whatever, but you definitely want to know people. And if you say, hey, I know somebody, right? I said if it was flooded, I'm going to Shawnette's house. She has a basement. When I come to her house, I'm not going to come with me and my people and just have no skill set. You better come correct if you're coming knocking at the door. Hey, Shawnette, I'm coming, but I have these goods to offer you as well. I have
Mm-hmm.
these weapons and we can do this and we can do this because we're not going to come there with just our hands and empty, pots, we're going to have something to bring. So you want to be able to connect with people who know certain things and like, hey, Liz, you know how to do this. Hey, Shawnette, you could do this. Okay, let's trade. Let's learn these skill sets. I know the holidays are coming. You don't have to worry about those sneakers and there's so many presents we could give. I'm like, oh, let me give a survival bag, a bug out bag to somebody,
Or give someone with some education. Support author of color this Christmas. You could buy T-shirts. I'm just saying at grownhonestconcepts.com. You could
Yes,
do
you can too.
that. You know what I mean? You could buy Shawnette's book and gift it to somebody so that they could get some practical life
Yes,
skills and how to take care of themselves and better themselves. There's smart things we could do,
yes,
people.
there
There
is.
are more intelligent ways that we could be spending what little resources we have separately
Yeah.
to create a true unit that's a force for them to try to reckon with.
Yes, and speaking of Shawnette's book, I read it. Thank you for this opportunity to once again have you on the show to hear your soothing voice. And also, where can they get that book? And can you tell us a little bit about it before we go to last words with Liz?
It is the Walking and Wellness Anthology. They can get it on Amazon. They can get it on my website, special1llc.com. They can get it. I think I provided a link, job form, where they can get it on the website page, on the Facebook page. They can hit you guys up. They can hit me
Yes.
up. They can just tell the universe I need a book, and I'm pretty sure they'll find one. This is the reality. Whatever people want, they have a way to get it. If they want bread, they find a way. When they want cake, they find a way.
Mhm.
And so, what people need, they'll get it. No matter if there's a recession or no matter what's going on, I believe that people are going to still thrive. We talk about survival of the fittest. Now is the time to get fit.
Yes, I love that. And Liz, last words with Liz. You know what? That's gonna be a thing. Last words with Liz. Go
Last
ahead.
words with Liz. I kind of like it. I like it. I
I
like
like it. I
it.
like
Yeah,
it. I
we
like
stamped it.
it.
Last words with Liz. Go ahead.
So, in knowing what tonight's topic was, let me see if I can get this right. I have my mo money, mo problems because they keep printing mo money and we keep having mo problems. Yeah, so that was my my thought for tonight. Just trying to be witty with it, guys. Seriously though, keep your eyes and ears open right now for a number of reasons. Pay attention, be smart. If you guys knew last January that COVID was coming and how it was going to affect us, how would you have prepared for it? So let's not call it COVID, let's call it blank. How are you going to prepare for it? That's my challenge to you this week. You guys have a really good night. Be blessed. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe,
Yay.
share.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you like her shirt, make sure that you go to growhonestconcepts.com and go get yourself one. And also tell a neighbor, tell a buddy to like, stop, subscribe, and on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page as well. And we're growing. We lost a little bit of people, but it's all good because we're growing because, we can't stop, won't stop. But that's how we do. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Now I gotta always drop a little something in there for them haters. But I'll talk to you guys later. Love you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.